Peace, everybody, and welcome to a new week. We are now collectively under the Eight of Spades week this week, which started yesterday, Monday, November 17th, and will go until Sunday, November 22nd, I believe. So, what do we know about the eights? Well, they are infinite sources of energy, right? There's no break in the eight. I like to say they're like Energizer bunnies because they keep going and going and going. And that is kind of their beauty is they don't give up. They are consistent. They are determined. Eights represent overcoming obstacles. And since we're talking about spade, this can be a health obstacle, a spiritual obstacle, your daily life, just really staying consistent and not giving up when things can get heavy, when things can feel like, oh my gosh, how do I keep going? You kind of invoke the inner power that the Eight of Spades has and you keep going. And that's the beauty of it. It's like that determination, that will, that ambition, that drive is like their superpower because this is a very strong energy. This is a very strong card. It is a great card of like overcoming hurdles, obstacles, anything that may seem like something that is trying to stop you. When you really push through and you don't give up, what it does show you is how strong you are, how resilient you are, and how when you are really determined and set on having something, there's really nothing that can stop you. If it's a goal, if it's a health goal, if it's a work goal, if it's a spiritual goal, this is a really great week to like test yourself to see like how bad do you want it and how bad are you willing to go and work to get it right. Now let's look at their spread. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little bit better. And the Eight of Spades sits, so this is here, it's right here. And this is Jupiter, so it sits Jupiter. And this is Saturn, so it sits Jupiter, Saturn. So there is like a gas and a brake with that Jupiter and Saturn. We know Jupiter expands, Jupiter increases. Jupiter is all about like going for it, going for the adventure, taking even a leap of faith, if you will. That's a big part of that Jupiterian energy. But then there is Saturn that's saying, are you disciplined? Are you willing to do what it takes? It's not just always rewards. It's how bad are you willing to put forth the energy to get to the reward. Saturn wants to make sure, is it worth it? Are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to be consistent? Are you willing to be disciplined? And that's a big part of this energy. So this week we all have this energy that we're collectively under, where we're being asked like, is this what you want? And if it is, prove it. Just go after it. Don't half-ass it. Don't, try to cut corners. These eights are very much about overcoming and determining and that consistent energy. So Jupiter and Saturn, it can feel like a big, explosion of opportunity, but there's still this sense of like, be responsible, show me how much you're willing to put forth the effort to get what it is that you want. And let's not forget, Saturn will crystallize. Saturn will reward you when you are showing that this is what I want. This is how bad I want it. And this is what I'm willing to do to get it. Now, when we look at their spread, well, let's start with what's in their box, right? Their supporting karma card is this Six of Clubs. So there is this like sometimes coming from a more stuck energy, intuitive energy, right? We know sixes as the messengers, especially the Six of Clubs. So really being able to trust themselves, rely on that internal like compass and which way to go and how to navigate, trusting the messages, trusting the downloads, trusting the intuitive, hints that they may get and really pushing forward from that space, right? Now, the low side of that could be they could take their time. Sixes don't move fast. It may take them a little bit of effort to get things going, but once they do, that's a wrap. There's no stopping them. And then their challenging karma card is a King of Clubs, and you will find a lot of times eights and kings travel together because they're a sense of power, the sense of accountability, responsibility, consistency. And when you have those things, you master whatever it is that you are, trying to accomplish. So the fact that they're challenging karma card, the energy that they're moving towards is a king, it just shows that your consistency, your will, your determination, your sheer drive to achieve can really take you far, especially with this King of Clubs being a part of this energy, right? And how you can master and accomplish and be almost like a leader in a field that you really like take seriously and are willing to put forth a lot of work and a lot of effort towards. Now, their Mercury card, their first card is the Ace of Hearts. So there is this like fire and spark that they can have to like initiate something new, because that's what we know of aces. It's like new beginnings, new opportunities. And so this may stimulate them into new concepts, new relationships that makes them the initiator to get things going and anything that they're really passionate about. Now, they have to be careful though with aces, especially as Mercury and as Venus. There can be like an oversensitive ego, me. But remember, when we look at the 8, it's an infinite source that comes from where? Within. So having these two aces as their first cards is not by accident, because they have to be very self-reliant, self-resistant, self-starting. Like they're not waiting for others to kind of spark that interest. It comes from within. And when there can always be new opportunities, new relationships, new values, but very strong, like self-resilient, self-motivated, self-starters here with this Ace of Hearts and this Ace of Diamonds as both their Mercury and their Venus card. Now, when it comes to relationships, there can definitely be good for business. And again, anything that is like an opportunity to, one, start something, pursue something. That 8, if they say that they want it, these are the two cards that really can push it and go after it and start something new. Could happen this week for us, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in conversations, meetings, whatever it may be. With these two aces, it's like we have, and again, it kind of shows us like how strong we are, how bad, if we want something, we have to start that fire within us. We have to kind of spark that interest and see it through to its fruition. It just isn't something that you just start and then it dwindles and you don't finish it. That's the beauty of the 8s, is like, no, I want this, and I'm going to be very consistent to get it. And like, I don't have to wait for anybody else. I'm going to pursue it. So very, very powerful energy, especially with those two aces right off the rip. When it comes to relationships of value. But again, there's not a lot of codependent energy here. There's not a lot of, looking to others. This is really about the relationship with the self and realizing that those mirror, that relationship with self is what, the relationships that they attract to themselves as well. Now, their Mars card is the Queen of Diamonds, business savvy, especially in Mars. This 8 of Spades, when they're really determined, there's really, again, nothing stopping them but themselves with these aces. And having this Queen of Diamonds here, it's very strong of like knowing what works in business. Now, the low side, there can be some, being impulsive, spending, impulsively or irresponsibly, because sometimes that Queen of Diamonds, she's got a fine eye. She likes expensive things. She has expensive taste. And not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes she can be a little irresponsible or a little bit impulsive in Mars. But this makes the 8 of Spades very business savvy, great at marketing, networking, bringing people together. And on the high side, they can be very generous to the people that they care about. This is really like raising the bar of your value, your worth, your products. If you offer services, maybe you need to look at like better ways to market, maybe raising prices, or maybe running some deals or some specials, or maybe even in your own like outings, you're, looking at things, from a different higher perspective with this Queen of Diamonds, right? Seeing its value, seeing its worth. But this makes them very business savvy and great at, again, like bringing people together, networking, what works in business and what doesn't. Now, their Jupiter card is the 5 of Hearts. So there is this sense of like emotional freedom, like spontaneity, playfulness, fun, very social. But, when there's a 5 in Jupiter, it's like you've got to lean into the change, not resist it. Changes are a blessing. Now, this can be where like they're catching flights and not feelings. Definitely can be, again, more spontaneous, more fun, more free loving, more open hearted. That's a big part of that 5 of Hearts. Very playful, very creative. And again, like really good with socializing, meeting new people, a great card for connecting this week when you think about like business and your social connections with this Queen of Diamonds and this Five of Hearts and Jupiter. Now, their Saturn card is the Three of Clubs. This they have to be a little bit mindful of because, again, on the low side of Three of Clubs, just like the threes, there can be like worry, stress, anxiety, not making the best decisions because they're overthinking it. And that's where you want to rely on these aces, like trust yourself, trust your first instinct. On the high side, this can give them extreme like creative abilities, but again, they have to be mindful of like that worry, overthinking, not being able to make decisions, sometimes feeling like you're at a crossroads of some sort. Kind of lean back into these aces and trust that first instinct and not backpedal that. And again, they have to be mindful of, again, overthinking things. And usually this would be good for like journaling, music, writing, any way that they can find a healthy outlet to express this energy. Because if not, it can turn to hypochondria, stress, overthinking, and again, not being able to make decisions. So this week, just be mindful of those threes, because then also their Uranus card is the Three of Spades, which one gives them the immense ability to create, be artistic, to think outside the box, like, be able to kind of look at different options and make the best decisions. But again, the low side would be to like worry, stress yourself out. And because they have these threes, they have to like protect their energy. If the environment is stressful, if the environment is anxious, they have to be mindful because they can then kind of take that on and not realize it's not even their energy. It could be energy of others or the environment. So really being protective of their energy, staying strong. This is a very strong card, very physical card. And even having an outlet for a lot of that energy, whether it's the gym, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whether it's boxing, whatever it is. This is such a strong energy that they need a physical outlet, and these threes really help. And again, they can be very physically fit. They can, be very strong physically, mentally, emotionally. It's just they have to be mindful, again, of like that indecisiveness, that worry, that stress on the low side. So if you find that you're in that space this week, maybe go for a run, maybe go for a walk, maybe go take a class so that you can push that energy out and it doesn't fester and then, cause a lot of stress and worry. Now, their Neptune card is the Nine of Hearts. This also kind of, along with that Queen of Diamonds, makes them very generous, great at counseling, giving really good advice, but it also teaches them to not hold on to things, right? We know with nines that they can bring endings, completions, graduations, fulfillments, and having a 9 in Neptune can make them be very good counselors, be very generous and giving from that overflow. Like that's a big part of that energy. And also having boundaries, because sometimes those 9s can overdo it, overshare. So really like knowing when and where to give and not overdoing it in that space. Also, this can bring, some delusions around relationships and love. They have to be very mindful of that, making sure they're seeing things as they really are and making sure that they're giving from the overflow and not the empty cup. Now, their Pluto card is the Seven of Clubs. I think this, and this is my personal opinion, that Seven of Clubs in Pluto, it can be a very challenging energy if you don't know how to kind of like work it. We know the Seven of Clubs, or we know the sevens are like faith or fear. There's no gray, there's no in between. And since this is the club, this is their mind, right? Their thoughts, their beliefs, the things that they say. So they have to be very mindful of where their mind goes. And a lot of this can be like subconscious programming, other people's words that may have been projected into them in their growing up, their childhood, their family environment. If there wasn't a positive, like, speaking and positive words, their internal voice or inside voice, the voice inside their head, can be negative, can respond negatively. If there was a really healthy, positive outlook and speaking on things, then they have the high side of that card, right? But as they grow and as we all go through this week, our mindset can be tested. right? We can kind of slip into what I call the quicksand of hell inside your head, or we can speak life, right? We can see the faith and see the positive in even sometimes negative situations, right? So this week we all are kind of dealing with this 7 of Clubs and Pluto collectively. So really, uplifting ourselves, spiritualizing our thoughts, alchemizing from the negative to the positive mindset. How do we respond to things if they don't go the way we thought they were supposed to go? And remember, on the high side of this card, it very much is like speaking life, the power of the tongue, the power of your words, manifestation. We do have a new moon in Scorpio coming up this week, so plant those seeds. Our words are powerful this week with this 7 of Clubs and Pluto. What are we saying? What are we thinking? How are we responding? And have grace with yourself, right? Because we can get tested, we can get triggered, and it's okay if you slip. Just recognize it and like kind of pull yourself out of that quicksand and speak positive, speak life, upgrade yourself from the inside out, and pay attention to where your mind goes, where your thoughts go, what you say, and not even just what you say to other people. What do you say to yourself? How do you speak to yourself? How do you respond to certain things? Because again, it can fluctuate with that 7 of Clubs and Pluto. And then the result card is a 5 of Diamonds. And the way I view this is like when you can really like free your mind, right? You have this sense of freedom, but you're not attached to outcomes. You put it out there and you let it manifest. And you're grateful for whatever may come, be realizing and having faith that it's exactly what you needed, right? And with this 5 of Diamonds, and as all fives, there is this sense of like seeking and freedom and change and being able to pivot and even really being able to release any of these negative thoughts or negative beliefs or negative responses, and being open, 5, to something different, to something new, to a change, to be able to pivot when it's time, to be able to adapt when it's time. And that's a big part of that energy, right? And when you look at these two together, this is really about like freeing your mind of any negative responses, being open to something different, to something better, to something more. And you never know what could come of it, right? Now, their cosmic lesson is the Queen of Spades. So again, kind of like really even going back to like their supporting karma card. And when we see 6s and queens, there is this sense of like that intuitiveness. And also like really seeing that this is the card of spiritual self-mastery. And remember, no break in the 8. It's you. You're the battery. And so when you realize that you are the battery, you really start to master your energy. You master your power. You realize how powerful you are. And when you are willing to put forth the work and the effort, that there's really nothing that you can't achieve. This is kind of like taking back your power, reclaiming it. And also, again, being a natural healer, a natural nurse, a natural intuitive, and really trusting that intuition, trusting that all the answers are already within you. You don't have to look outside of yourself with that, especially with this 8 of Spades and this Queen of Spades, right? And that you have everything you need inside of you. Are you willing to, again, put forth the work to, again, trust yourself, listen to yourself, realize the power that you have? So a lot of this energy this week, like taking back your power, reclaiming your power, realizing again that this is the card of like nothing happens without your permission. And when you really like invoke that energy, there's a very like strong like sense to this that you have everything you need inside of you, right? And again, health-wise, again, taking really good care of yourself, listening to your body, listening to, any kind of messages and nudges, and maybe even being open to more natural health practices, alternative practices, because this card will do whatever it needs and whatever is required to heal, to overcome. And sometimes we do have to look at different ways and not be just stuck on one way, right? Be open to like, I don't know, massage, acupuncture, herbs, whatever it may be. Now, their cosmic moon is the Jack of Clubs, and then their moon card behind them is a 10 of Diamonds. So a lot of increase and expansion with that 10. They're very supported again and like, great with crowds, great with success, very determined, very willed, very successful energy, really. And then the Jack of Clubs gives them that gift of gab, really being able to communicate their emotional needs, express themselves, but and being able to, I always say the Jack of Clubs can talk them their way into or out of anything. So they do have that kind of persuasiveness that I that they can really easily turn on with the emotions, and really being able to talk out their feelings would probably be something. And maybe this week we all have to kind of express ourselves a little bit better, share what we're feeling, and really uplift through that. Remember, Jacks are here to initiate. So it's like, what side of that fence will you be on? I like to call it the peasant side or the royal side. And emotionally, this is a really good card of like even journaling how you feel. Like they could do really good at writing and expressing themselves emotionally with this Jack of Clubs. And then their transformation card is a Nine of Diamonds. So they are constantly going through a shedding of the skin, right? Because that's kind of what nines represent, especially if it's your transformation card. What are you releasing? If it is no longer valuable to you, if it does not serve you, why would you want to hold on to it? Why would you want that anchor? This is a card of like maturing, because when we have to let go, when we have to release things that don't serve us, there's a sense of maturity, there's a sense of growth that comes. It also allows us to not be attached, right? To, again, nines are cycles of things coming and cycles of things going. And either way, you just allow, you keep flowing. Don't let it stop your flow. Don't let it stop your power. Don't let it stop your strength, because it just means that if it's ending, that something even better is coming, right? If it's ending, it means it has served its purpose. If it's ending, that means it no longer has value. And it just means something even better is coming in its place. And it's like, again, kind of having that faith that that's exactly what's going to happen, right? So very powerful card this week. And we all collectively get to experience this Eight of Spades week. Again, the gym it's is a very good card for working out, moving that energy, especially with these threes. If you start to stress, if you start to worry, try to find a healthy outlet, whatever that may look like for you. Some people like to garden, some people like to cook, some people like to dance, whatever it may be. You want to really tap into that and really test. Like, this is a great card to, like, you can really overcome anything, any obstacle. You have it in you. It's already there. You don't have to be the Eight of Spades. You may have this in your spread this week, this year, whatever in life. So really invoke this energy of power, of will, of determination, of ambition, of drive. And again, great health card, great for recovering from any kind of health obstacles. But it's gonna be like, you have to stay consistent. You can't just wake up one day and take a bunch of vitamin C or whatever and expect your health to just magically change. No, you have to decide, I want to be better. I want to be healthier, and commit to yourself, Queen of Spades, spiritual self mastery, and master the obstacles, the hurdles that may come in and getting you to the gym or getting you to get outside and go for a walk or whatever, lift weights, whatever it may be. When you really start and you stay consistent with it, you really can, again, be very, like, you'll see the strength that happens. You'll see like, oh wow, I really have it in me to really want to be better, to feel better, to look better, to be healthier. So great card for that. A lot of will. Watch the abrupt. Sometimes the eights can kind of strong arm and bully and force. And I've always said, like, eights are about grace. Power does not have to show its hand. It's power naturally has it. So you don't have to force anything. It's more about grace and kind of allowing. Remember, you're the battery. You already have it within you. You don't have to kind of force it onto anybody else. So with that, I hope you enjoy this Eight of Spades week, and I will talk to you next time for the Nine of Spades week. Peace, everybody.